Okay, so like I talked about a few months ago, I got all of this walnut from my brother-in-law. I haven't processed it yet, but I am in the process of getting ready to process the lumber. And this is the first part of it. This is a Granberg MK-IV Alaskan Chainsaw Mill. Just the mill, not the chainsaw. That'll be a separate video. I have ordered one, I'm just waiting for it to be delivered. So let's start by unboxing this. We'll get it put together real quick. So within the first box, we had 2 more boxes. I'm assuming this is all of the handles and hardware. And I went with the 48-inch model. Okay, so got our user's manual and assembly guide, warranty information, stickers. It's a little damaged, but I'm calling this a big plus. Call me a child, but I really love stickers that come with my tools. I'll have to see if I can get one that isn't damaged. I mean, it's not the end of the world, it's just a sticker, but I like them. And we've got everything kind of shrink wrapped here nicely to this cardboard. Okay, so first thoughts, it actually looks really good. Really heavy duty aluminum on these pieces here that's all been nicely machined and has, oh, that's actually kind of cool. It's got their phone number on it, which if you ever needed tech support for it, that's probably a pretty handy thing to have. Torque settings are right there, so you don't have to, so you don't forget. Of course, all the bolts. Now one thing, this may be a small detail, but one thing that I'm already liking about the instruction guide is it's full color. Everything is, you're not looking at technical drawings trying to decide. You're not looking at technical drawings trying to decide which piece is which. Like you've got actual photos telling you which item matches up with each name on the chart. So that's a nice touch. These are the wrong washers. Should have paid closer attention. For this part, they call this the handle boss. You want the smaller split washers. So if we do the same thing for the other one. Okay, so we've got that put together. Tighten this up a little bit more. Decided it would probably be more helpful to bring the camera in closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. So, we've got the on-off bar assembly put together. I'm going to wait on the handle. And next we need to attach this assembly to the thickness rails. I'm going to use 2 carriage bolts, 2 coupling nuts, Alright, now we're going to attach the end bracket assemblies. We use 2 carriage bolts, 2 flat washers, and 2 lock nuts. Okay, now we're going to put on the other end bracket. Try to get that square. Now I've got these U-bolts to put in. They are going to go right on through these end caps, these end assemblies, whatever they're called. Then we'll throw some flat washers on there and these coupling nuts. Do the same thing here. Slide this handle through. And there's these little end caps for the bar. Now the instructions say to leave this socket screw a little bit loose to allow for adjustment. Next we're going to put in the adjustment post for the thrust end being the side over here where the power head is going to be. And for that we're also going to need this piece here. And these are going to act as guides for the saw as you're pushing through the logs. For now, since I don't have the saw, I'm going to tighten these bolts down a little bit just to keep things from clanking around too much. Alright, now for the nose end, the adjustment bar here doesn't have those wings on it. Neither does the bottom plate. And for this one, we've also got this guard that will go over the nose of the blade. That's put together. Now we'll slide it through on this end and make sure that the nose guard is sticking out. And then there's also these little end caps for the adjustment posts. And the handle. That's on. Slide this other end cap into the bar. Store the Allen wrench right here, I guess. And one of the cool things is the tool that the majority of the assembly was done with is just your standard chainsaw tool, and that came with this. And my saw is going to come with one too, but it'll be an extra. Okay, so it's all put together. That was really easy to do. The instructions were really good. One thing I found handy in the instructions were really well put together, surprisingly. I say surprisingly because in a lot of things like these, the instructions are not so good, but these were really well put together. And one thing that I think was a plus is it did have an exploded diagram as well. So if there was a spot that didn't quite click, you could always refer to this to see which part goes where. That worked out really well. I've got the whole thing done. Even ended up with some extra washers. I double checked to make sure that I wasn't missing any where they needed to be. They're all there. So I'm excited to give this a shot. I think it's probably still going to be another week or two before my saw gets here. And I'll do a separate video on that and what I went with and why. Obviously I had to go with something big because the bar is going to be huge. The bar is here. I've got an Oregon 42-inch bar, and I've got a couple rip chains for it. So I'm hoping that that will give me roughly, if I take the dogs off on the saw end, because they're not going to be used anyway, I'm hoping for about 38 inches of cut with this particular setup, which I think will be just right because the logs behind me, the walnut logs there, I think the widest one at its widest point is right at 36 inches, I think. Eventually I would like to get an even bigger one. I think it would be really cool to be able to do like a full 4 feet, 4.5 feet. So eventually I do want to add a 60-inch as well, assuming I can find a bar that's a reasonable price. If you haven't looked into that kind of thing, when the bars get that big, they get really expensive. So that'll be down the road. See if I actually make any money off of this before I go investing that kind of money. I am thinking about adding a crank on here. That is something that Granberg offers on their website. I kind of want to see if I can cobble together my own, just because. I may also add an auxiliary oiler, just because of how long the bar is going to be and how wide some of these boards are. I do worry that the built-in lubrication system isn't going to be quite enough. That is also something that you can get directly from Granberg, but again, that's one that I kind of want to see if I can come up with my own design for that. And if I do, for both the oiler and the crank, I'll do videos on those. So yeah, this is my Granberg. I didn't actually order mine from Granberg. I had already ordered it from Amazon when I saw that you could order directly from Granberg. So there's options there. I don't know that it really makes a difference, other than maybe the manufacturer gets more of a cut if you order directly from them. At least that would be my hope. But overall, I'm really impressed with it. And there are other options, of course, and there are knockoffs, which I'm generally not a fan of. And I didn't want to go with one of those. Yeah, they're like half the price, but a lot of reviews that I've read said they had missing parts or things weren't machined correctly or whatever. And I just like the idea of helping out an American company. It's American made. And it's all really well machined and welded and put together nicely. The instructions, like I said, were great. So I'm really happy with this. I had also considered a Panther Pros Chainsaw Mill, but when I went to look at their website, it appears they're now out of business. I didn't say why, it just said this might be temporary, might be permanent, and I'm kind of in a hurry. So that was also part of the reason I went with the Granberg. One of the big differences between those two, between the Granberg and the Panther Pros, the Panther is all steel, the Granberg has quite a bit of aluminum. So for a smaller mill, maybe it's not as big a deal, but for a really big one like this, that's also part of the reason I wanted to go this route, is the weight. This, I think, would be significantly lighter than the Panther Pros equivalent, even though they are pretty similar price-wise. Just another thing to keep in mind. So anyway, this is my mill, and I'm excited to get it going. If you have any questions or hints, tips, tricks, let me know. This will be my first time milling, so I'm not going to pretend to know all the ins and outs just yet. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more of the things that I do in my shop and here on the patio, I guess, please subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks.